G'day and welcome back to the Pillars of Ranternity. We're going through Obsidian's Kickstarter-backed game, Pillars of Eternity. It'll take a while. Thus far, we've gotten through the initial tutorial. We're in the first town, and the local lord, Radric, has recently had a kid, and things didn't go as well as could be hoped.
Nice and quiet.
Because, frankly, kid's dead or hollowborn. Either way, isn't ideal for us.
Well
so.
met, friend.
Oh, it's you. Tenford told us what you did for him. It's such a relief to have him back. I can't thank you enough. Consider yourself a favourite of the house. Discounts on drinks, rooms. Tenford said he wanted to whip up something nice for you. He's already back to work in the kitchen. Haha. So, what would you like? So, there's a few different options here. This is probably the most interesting one to look at first. And that is, I could use some reliable help. Do you know of anyone looking for work? Oh, well, I can't say I speak from experience. We do have a certain sorts coming by from time to time. If you want to hire someone, I'd be happy to send them on your way. And then, I guess this... Don't quite get why party suddenly gained experience, or maybe that's as a result of the previous quest. I don't know, but let's see what we have to work with. So we don't have enough money, but basically this is build a companion. They're companion characters, but they don't have any quests or anything. It's just like having an extra NPC that is literally built to order, as opposed to not built to order, which is what we have at the moment. So what we should do, cancel, is we should... Oh, there is a respec option now. There was not a respec option as I recall the last time I played. And what we do want to do is we want to sell some of our junk. Right, so we can sell off these hunting bows. This is our stuff, I hope. Good. And poleaxe, crossbow. We'll keep one of each of the various weapons that we've got here. I love that there is a stash, by the way, because it allows me to do this and not be like, oh, but what if I want one in the future? And other junk like that. These are worth literally nothing. Svef is basically a drug. Cool. Not gonna do that, but... Remove Svef crash. I like that, the addictive drug can be used to remove the negative effects of the addictive drug. At least for a little while. That's a nice touch. And then we've got various herbs and things. And we could potentially sell some of these other bits and pieces. We will definitely sell these. The tattered journal. Is there any point in keeping it? No, I don't think so. We'll sell the wolf hides. And that gives us a bunch of cash. We can buy more of most of the other things, but do we want them? I don't think so. And now we could potentially hire ourselves a level 1 adventurer. Maybe. I'll think about it. We do level up though, so we will do that. So because, we completed late for dinner. So last time round we still had points left. I definitely want more stealth. I definitely want more mechanics. Once we've done that, what else do we have? More lore is kind of nice. I think, though, if I were to pick any of these, it'd either be stealth, or I could grab a little bit more athletics. I think it'll be stealth, because more stealth is more better. Next. Okay, so now we've got a new ability. So Crippling Strike is a pretty nice idea, in my opinion. Reckless Assault is kind of a new mode. It's power attack. It means that you take more damage, but you're more accurate. Or you take hits more easily, but you're more accurate. Dirty Fighting is a passive ability, which basically means you hit more frequently. Not hit more frequently, when you hit, you do more damage more frequently. So, I mean, Dirty Fighting's kind of nice. Escape... not really after. I think either Crippling Fight or Dirty Fighting. I'm going to go with Crippling Strike. Okay, done. Okay, now next step. Do we want to... Oh, we... no, I don't want to be on attack. Stop that. Right click. That does it. Let's chat with Tenfrith. It's you, my saviour. He makes a sweeping gesture to indicate the kitchen around you. It's so good to be back. Do not think I will let this go unrewarded. I've decided that you've earned the right to learn one of my most closely guarded secrets, my dearest recipe. After this, you'll eat nothing else. You've gained a recipe, savory pie. A savory pie to keep you hale and hearty. May it serve you well in your travels. Okay, so that leads to the next question. Crafting. Food. Stew. So you can make stew, which increases your endurance dex, and that... Expect me to basically never look at this menu again. Interestingly enough, you do get a little bit of backstory, which is kind of nice. Like, the stuff that's here is surprisingly detailed. Duck's own beef loaf. So, savory pie. Increases might and perception. Nice. I mean, that's pretty good. Uses beer, uses grain, and uses meat. Cool. I mean, stat outs aren't actually that easy to come by. So
just
then
say the word.
What we do is, if we wanted to steal things, you kind of... This is how I go about stealing things in this game, by the way. What you do is you find a corner or something where you're far enough away that this starts to count down. And then as soon as it's yellow, no one knows where you are. And so you kind of do this, and you let it count down more. And then you sneak over here. And you go... Yoink! My stuff. And no one cares. Just like any game, no one gives a crap if you are sneaky thief type.
Nothing will slip past me.
Oh, that's fine. That isn't stealing. As far as I'm aware. Okay. So you can kind of expect me to do that same thing. So these two are both backers.
Just say the word.
And this is definitely like something that I've heard a lot of people complain about. You just basically have these useless NPCs and other characters.
Just say the word.
And the end result is not... well, the end result is just people regarding them as complete wastes of space. They're not interesting. There's nothing to do with them. And no one does anything with them. And it's, frankly, sad to me that happens.
Just say the word.
There we go.
Yes. Yeah.
So, can I do this?
Let's see what's in here.
So it does go up faster the closer you are to something.
Promised.
Yeah, see? So this is kind of silly, but also exactly the approach that I'm encouraged to take. And I really like stealing in games, so, you know, I will do it a lot. So here's a ring. Ring-a-ding-ding. Yoink. Hey, get out of there.
Nothing will slip past me.
So, if I chat, please leave me be. Full to sickness with these people. Here's book. Book about some woodwind. I'm kind of surprised that they still allow the book around here because they're not too keen on him. Ooh, that is less than ideal. Hey, dog. The hound stares intently at the covered window, head cocked, as if waiting to hear a particular sound. One looks up when you approach and whines a low note, tail wagging slightly. Pet the dog. Aww. Leave the dog. That is a very cute sounding dog. This just lives outside. You must gather your party before venturing forth. Yep. I mean, they couldn't have made the game without having that. And this is like an upper entrance to the inn. I assume if we were to come back with a bone, we could befriend that dog. Is there anything out here?
I'll see what I can find.
Just say the word.
Let's just pinch a few more bits and pieces.
Let's see what's in here.
Mine?
That'll do it.
And I mean, you even get experience for grabbing these things, so I regret nothing. You crafting inventory. So this is medium armor. I don't know when I started using that again. I thought I'd changed. Your recovery speed is minus 35%, minus 20%. That's a significantly higher DR. But this is what I want. Thank you. Probably should look at Alice gear, but whatever. We should hire a room and go to bed, so we can actually push the story along. So let's rush over there.
Hail, traveler.
I'd like to hire a room, please. Actually, I'd like to know more about the Black Hound. Really? Well, let me see. The actual building's been here for years, but the Black Hound's fairly new. We got a lot of new faces here. Fewer than we used to, I'll admit. 10th's a big draw. I'm sure we'll get the big crowds back again in no time. Sure, if Frederick weren't a crazy person, as far as I can tell. He used to work the tables, actually, until the old owner up and left. No one's sure what happened to him. He even left his poor hound behind. That's the name, see? The Black Hound. It's still sitting upstairs pining after him. Poor old girl. The place ended up in my hands somehow. My very own inn. A lot of hard work involved, but it's been worth it so far. Please, say what you'd like. Would you like a drink or a room? We have 2 available at the moment. I'm afraid we can't offer much by way of good meal today, unless you're fond of cold porridge. Let's go for a room. Certainly, you're always welcome. So here's one of the other interesting things. You have different rooms and you have different rest bonuses. So, for example, I can get this. I can sleep in the common room for nothing, for free, and I get no benefit beyond resting. Big deal. Or I can, like, pick something, and these are stat bonuses, and they're typed. I think they're specifically rest bonuses. And last for 2 rests? I mean, yeah, I'm gonna do that. So, here we go, and here we should have a little bit more interesting things happen. Your sleep is restless and fevered, assaulted by hisses and whispers, blanketed with a suffocating anxiety. You open your eyes to awaken and find yourself in front of Gilded Vale's gallows tree. It's the creaking of its ropes growing louder in your mind until the sound is deafening. Hanging from the tree is an old dwarf woman whose face is shriveled inward like mouldering fruit. Her head hangs limply to one side. As you look at her, she looms larger and larger in your mind until she's mere inches from your face. Suddenly her head snaps up and her eyes open, and they're empty. Behind them is a vast nothingness that makes your stomach drop. Her mouth slowly parts, and with a gust of rancid air, she speaks a word. Watcher. You jolt awake, the foul smell of the dwarf woman's breath still permeating your nostrils. Sweat runs down your face in thick droplets and your skin is soaked from head to toe. You remember the woman. You remember seeing her decaying face when you spoke with the magistrate. He called her an animancer. Though it fills you with a new queasy apprehension, you feel a strange compulsion to see this woman once more, if only to confirm she is truly dead. Oh yeah, we didn't actually level Aloth. So Aloth is a character. Ah yes, also rooms, sleeping in a room doesn't consume supplies. So Aloth, as you can see, has invested in lore, a little bit of mechanics, but mostly lore. And so what we're going to do is we're going to give him a little bit of athletics. We're going to give him a little bit of survival, because both of those seem useful. And you know what? We're going to grab him a bit more lore. And Aloth even counts as gentry. You'll find that one of the freedoms of having a character's stat line not be that significant, in terms of like, you don't need all your wizards to be really smart, and stoic characters or that kind of thing is like the stat line really reflects a character as written, and I guess the initial starting choices do. After that, you kind of have to mix these other things. And yes, so these spells are per rest spells until eventually they become per encounter spells. So combusting wounds does damage over time in an area. So basically this makes wounds in that area. Does damage over time to people that get injured, I guess. This does... I get to select 2? Really? Infused with Vital Essence is a quick temporary heal. That only impacts himself. That could be useful. Necrotic Lance does damage over time in a straight line. Seems reasonable. Rolling Flame does sends a ball of fire that can bounce. Interesting. 42.8 meters and bounces. Yeah, no, we'll do that. The other one, the Corrosive Siphon, is an interesting one. Oh, there'll be time for that later. Next. That's it. Done. I like that level ups are fairly quick. Alright, now let's go talk to the dwarf lady. And then hopefully also grab a deer. Actually, can we grab a deer? Welcome to our lovely village. Nope. You. Caldara de Baranzi. The squat, distended body of an elderly dwarf woman dangles from a thin, crooked bow that sags under the tug of her noose. The bloated purple flesh of her neck, worn away in patches, like moth-eaten linen, bulges over the rope that suspends her, and her lifeless head lolls forward rigidly from one side to the other when the breeze shifts. You perceive the faint glow around her that casts no light on its surroundings, but there's a tepid warmth to it, and you feel somehow that you could reach out and touch it, not with your hands, but with some aspect of yourself that has no worldly dimension. And see, this would be more significant if we didn't have the Kickstarter NPCs that you automatically do this before you kind of have this text. You take a deep breath, clearing your mind and focusing on your objective. As you exhale, you feel yourself spreading out toward the hanging woman, perceiving all that lies between you and her with new, unfamiliar awareness. Once you've expanded enough to reach her, there is a sudden jolt to your mind, a ringing electric surge of images and words and sounds. Involuntarily, you shut your eyes and feel yourself being pulled down to some deeper consciousness, in a space occupied only by you and the hanging woman, and when you open them again, she is staring at you with eyes clouded in a milky fog, her body still swaying in a wind you no longer feel from a tree that stands planted in a misty void. The woman gives a slow nod of her head, the rope creaking as she does so, and she smiles at you.
Have you come here for me, dear? Or have you gotten lost? It is both, I think. Yes?
Am I imagining this?
No, I think not. A pity that. It would be simpler. A mercy, even. To not have to wander anymore, no? Alas, we are here, you and I. Wherever here may be.
How are you able to speak to me?
Is that what we're doing? Perhaps it just seems that way. Perhaps it is the easiest way for your mind to make sense of it. I think it is a very good choice.
I need to understand something that's happened to me. She nods, a look of pity on her face as though consoling a child.
The world looks a little different than it used to, is that it? Feels like you're noticing things for the first time that have always been there.
She nods.
You have seen past the shroud. It only takes an instant. Your soul remembers, yes? Remembers how it sees when it leaves the body, like being reminded of a dream you had forgotten. You are a watcher now, and a watcher you will stay.
What's a watcher?
What indeed? Long hours have many animancers spent studying such things. Not I, though. Not I. I'll tell you what I know, though, since fair is fair, and here we are visiting, you and I, and it reminds me of better times. Souls pass on, some say through Audra stones, which are the blood veins of the world. They leave the world for a time and are reborn into it, sometimes more than they were before, but usually less and seldom the same. For all souls there is a time where they do not live, yet have not passed on, and those souls roam the world, same as you or I, either leaving or lost. But no one sees them because they have forgotten how. A watcher sees, though, knows what to look for. And sometimes they know a person just by looking at them, know where they've been in ages past when their bodies were other bodies. See memories even their owner can't recall. A wonder to behold when all goes well. A wonder!
What did you mean, when all goes well?
Oh, nothing to be afraid of, I'm sure. It's just much to take in for some. Sometimes there's trouble sleeping or other difficulties.
She smiles at you reassuringly, fanning out a tuft of long whiskers that sprouts from one of her cheeks.
You should see old Meerwald. He could tell you much more than I. A watcher just like you. Helped many in his day. Took up in an old keep no one would claim. Not far, not far. Kadnua, beyond the Black Meadow. He will welcome the company.
Okay, I survived the bivouac.
Did you
Why
now,
would that
dear?
be?
My, that would be
Everyone,
something.
no one believes
wouldn't
me
it?
about that.
Could be luck, could certainly be. A storm can be a careless thing. Or maybe it got its hands around your soul but couldn't pick it up. A soul can be heavy if it stayed in one piece through its time. Strong souls, we call them in the trade. Cold, I mean. Called them. Those days are all behind me now.
You said souls break apart over time?
Oh, yes. Entropy. Rimagan's work. We know little of why or how. We lose pieces of ourselves when we die and pick up pieces of others when we are born again, but less than what we lost. We tried to stop it with the animantic sciences, but with little success. No.
Well, that seems pretty sad, like everyone is slowly doomed to become soulless.
A very small few resist Rimergan's influence and stay together through some force of defiance, at least for a time. But they all succumb eventually, I think.
I mean, that's a really interesting concept. It's the same kind of thing as eventually we will all die and the stars go out, to me. It's one of those things where it doesn't affect you on a day-to-day basis or even, like, the basis of humanity, but it's something that I always find I need to make sure that I don't continue to think about, because, you know, hopefully it isn't all completely meaningless, I guess.
I'll bore you to tears, though.
What happened to you? She laughs, a rasping, choked cackle escaping beneath rows of buttery yellow teeth, causing her body to bob up and down with each spasm. Seeing a blank expression, she catches herself.
Oh, come now. Such a question. As though the answer were plain as a rope tied for strangling. Allow an old dwarf her last bit of cheer. Well, I came where I was needed, didn't I? offered my services to Lord Radric for a pittance, a humble pittance. I was to examine the Lord's wife, see why the gods have seen fit to poison her womb. Studied her for months, looked high and low for impurities, tested her valence, the permeability of her essence. Do you know what I found?
Tell me.
Nothing at all. A healthy woman, head to toe, blessed with a beautiful soul. Such a sweet woman, too. Meek, but warm-hearted. A few months' time, and the lord of the house demanded answers. For a time, I told him what he wanted to hear. Oh, yes, my lord, she is riddled with imbalances. I must have time to cure her. As the birth drew near, he grew impatient, as lords do. And this is where I've ended up.
Okay, who are you?
And here I thought you'd come to visit me in particular. Caldara de Baranzi, of the Valian Royal Academy of Animantic Sciences. Not the greatest of their number, but I came here all the same because this was where help was needed.
Let's go into what an animancer is, I guess.
A student of the soul. Something so basic, yet so poorly understood. But so many breakthroughs have been made in my lifetime. Had been. To hear the locals tell it, we're a gang of soul manglers that preys upon the weak-minded. And the worst of us are. But the best of us? The best? Inspirations, miracle workers. My parents were soul twins, miserable before they met, empty inside. It was an animancer who helped one find the other, turned their lives around. You wouldn't believe the stories. Amnesiacs helped to remember their lives. The suicidal brought back from the brink of oblivion. The elderly afforded extra moments to say their goodbyes. How soon we forget when we're afraid. It's a fascinating science. A fascinating time to be alive in a place like Deerwood that does not control the research, no? I love the Valian Republics for many things, but their recent caution will leave them behind, I fear.
So yeah, here we learn not only, animancy is kind of a relatively recent science.
Goodbye, my dear. It was lovely visiting.
But also, there are lots of places that are like, no, we don't really want, we want to control this. We don't want unrestricted research. It's kind of that genetic engineering, genome kind of debate. And so, yeah. Caldara closes her eyes and her head slumps forward over the noose. Your surroundings seem to bleed into your vision from some unknown place of waiting. I was granted Crucible of the Soul. Are you alright? You seemed lost just now. I'm a watcher? His arched eyebrow receded into his hood. Well, that is interesting. He gives you a sly grin. And I expect that explains how you survived a bivouac, eh? In any case, I appreciate your honesty. Since we're traveling together, it's probably wise for us to share these things. Do you know anything about watchers? Only that they're rare and they seem to have unique insights into certain soul conditions. As you just demonstrated. Let's continue on. Boom! Not level, but XP.
17.5.
Smell of pipe smoke, at once earthy and sweet, winds its way into your nostrils. Your eyes trace the smoke to its origin, where you find a broad man with straw-colored hair leaning against a mossy rock wall, his pipe held to his lips with one meaty hand. He looks at you directly in the eye, but looks not aggressive. He regards you with a peculiar smirk.
17.5. Well, could be 18, depending on how you count the dwarf woman.
I'm sorry?
Dwarf woman. You were trying to figure out whether to count her as a full person. I think you oughta. The people hanging from the tree. 18 of them. Well, last I counted, anyway.
Is that what you people do for fun around here?
Name's Adair. Though to the people around here, might as well be 19. Don't think I'd put you much higher than 22, 23 tops. You look like the sort that likes to get involved.
What makes you think I was interested in a dwarf woman? Idea looks at you for a moment. His brow arched, his smoke broadens.
I was smoking over here, saw you staring at her. Twice I refilled my pipe. You never so much as blinked. Your mouth was so slack I took you for a Radric at first.
I like how much character you get from these short conversations as well. Been out of sorts lately. Of course, we all got our bad days when we stand perfectly still and stare at corpses for a while without blinking. He winks. You know what a watcher is?
Friend. Let's not use that word round here. Could be any number of Radric bootlickers within earshot. Ciphers, animancers, watchers. Same thing in the eyes of folks around here, Radric especially. They come through these parts all the time with their cures, preying on the desperate. None of them are who they claim to be. Of course, seeing you with that funny look, I'd be halfway inclined to believe you were having some kind of communion with that dwarf. Either case, maybe I'm not 19 after all. No offense.
You think you're going to be hanged?
The town's had it in for me for a long time now. Only fellow who ever stuck up for me, well, he's number 18 up there. My headman on the farm. Used to be my captain during the war.
What does your town have against
Pick
you?
the wrong god. That's what it comes down to. Used to be a lot of Aethys worshippers in Gilded Vale. That mess of rocks over there, that was a temple to him, to give you some idea.
So Waidwin was kind of the head of the Church of Aethys, at least in an unofficial sense.
Then one day, somebody named Waidwin shows up on Deerwood's doorstep. Says he's the living flesh of Aethys. Got an army with him. Suddenly, Aethys isn't so popular in these parts. My brother Woden and me, neither of us believed it. No way was that Aethys. He enlisted, then I did too. But, he didn't make it back. After the war, people took to punishing Aethys worshippers, accusing them of treason. Got real ugly, especially after the legacy started. Folks needed someone to blame. I was safe because I fought, but then this rumor starts that my brother, that he was on the wrong side. And I wasn't so safe anymore. Until my headman stepped in and said they'd have to hang him to get to me. Seems that's no longer a concern. Of course, the townies don't do the hanging these days, but when Radric's men come, they got no problem doing the pointing.
If you're next to be hanged, what are you still doing here? Drinking, mostly. Point of fact, I'm on my way out. I just haven't figured where I'm going to yet. Not a whole lot of places out here that don't think Waidwin's legacy started with Waidwin. Waiden? Wow. Wyden. That was it. Widewin or something. We could travel together. Where are you headed? Some place called Cade Nua. There's an old watcher there who might be able to help
I seem to remember hearing something about that years ago. He tamed that place. People would seek him out for all kinds of things. Troubles of the soul, questions for the departed. Of course, that was back when you didn't have to say watcher with a hush on your breath. A man such as that, there'd be things I'd want to ask him. Don't know why I never thought of it before.
Yeah.
Not sure how I feel about setting out with a stranger. And a strange one at that. But, truth be told, you might be the only one in town who wouldn't feel some relief seeing me swing from that tree.
There's a fine reason if ever I heard one.
All right, then. Guess I'll do some sightseeing. Long as you're not the one picking the sights.
He glances briefly at the tree, giving me a pointed look. Okay. So we got ourselves a fighter. So if we look at his inventory, he's got some decent armor. Saint War's armor. He wore it during his time in the Saints' War. Its dark color is unusual, as is its power. So it gives him a second chance on unconsciousness once per rest, so basically he gets up. Yep. Instant revive with 30 endurance. Sweet. And so that's once per rest. That's nice. And he's got himself a decent sword and a bow. Aleth, by the way, has a scepter, which is a ranged weapon, and a rapier. And he has leather armor. Aleth's leather armor has been lightly enchanted to enhance his spellcasting abilities. It also appears to have custom decorative patterns stitched into the surface. Unlike most deerwood and leather armor, Aleth's has been tailored in the Adir style, meaning the torso is more heavily reinforced, but it lacks sleeves due to Adir's hot and humid climate. And so yeah, you can then actually do further upgrading. But it costs money and it costs items. So we're not doing that. And what we'll do now is next time, if you join me next time, we will go and I think we'll do some side quests. We'll kind of do relative highlight reel of side quests around the town before either we'll go straight to Caed Nua or we will do the side quest down here. I'm not decided yet. We'll wing it and see how we go. Until then, have a great day. I will see you next time. Bye.